carried a stillness that only the early hours could hold. Nurse Michael Carter was returning home after a long, exhausting night shift, his eyes heavy, his thoughts dulled by fatigue. As he passed an old, nearly abandoned gas station, something caught his attention, a small, unsteady figure moving near the edge of the road. At first, he thought it was an animal, maybe a stray dog. But as he slowed down, the shape became clearer. It was a little girl, barefoot, dusty, and barely able to stand. Michael's instinct took over before his mind even caught up. He pulled his truck over, jumped out, and rushed toward her. The child tried to take one more step before her knees buckled and she collapsed in the dirt. Michael gently lifted her into his arms, realizing immediately that she was dangerously dehydrated and starving. Her skin was hot, her pulse weak, her lips cracked. She couldn't have been more than 7 years old. Without wasting a moment, he carried her to his truck and sped straight toward the hospital, hoping he wasn't too late. During the drive, Michael kept talking softly to her, hoping she could hear even a little bit. Her head rested against his arm, her breathing shallow but still present. He adjusted the air conditioning toward her, trying to cool her overheated skin. Every second felt painfully slow as he navigated the early morning traffic. He had seen many emergencies in his years as a nurse, but something about this little girl felt different, fragile, lost, and completely alone. The hospital finally came into view, and he pressed the horn repeatedly as he pulled into the emergency bay. Doctors and nurses hurried over as Michael carried the girl inside. She was immediately placed on a bed as IV lines were set, vitals taken, and fluids administered at a rapid but safe pace. Michael stayed beside her, answering questions and explaining exactly how he had found her. Hours passed as the medical team worked to stabilize her. She drifted in and out of consciousness, responding only with faint murmurs. Michael refused to leave her side, even after his shift had technically been over long ago. Something in her silence kept him rooted there. When the girl finally opened her eyes, it was sometime after midnight. Her gaze was unfocused at first, drifting across the room before landing on Michael, who was sitting in a chair next to her bed. He leaned forward gently, giving her space while letting her know she wasn't alone. Her lips parted as if she wanted to speak. Michael encouraged her softly, telling her she was safe now. After a long, difficult moment, she whispered a single word, her name. Koa. Her voice was barely audible, but the determination behind it was unmistakable. The hospital staff soon learned that she was Apache, though she was too weak to fully explain how she had ended up alone and miles away from any known community. All Michael could gather was that she had been searching for help, walking under the scorching sun for far too long. As she slowly recovered, she clung to Michael's presence, responding more to him than anyone else. He brought her food when she was allowed to eat, stayed with her when she woke from frightened dreams, and assured her repeatedly that she was safe. A bond grew between them without either of them trying. By the time morning arrived, Koa was stable but still fragile, resting quietly under warm blankets. Michael finally stepped outside to breathe, feeling the weight of the past 24 hours settle on him. He had helped many patients before, but something about rescuing a lost child in the middle of nowhere left a deeper imprint. As he headed home, exhausted yet strangely peaceful, he had no idea that saving her life would echo far beyond the hospital walls. He didn't know that miles away, word of his kindness had reached people who cared deeply for her, and that soon, they would appear at his doorstep. 4 days later, just as the sun dipped behind the tall pines surrounding his neighborhood, Michael Carter was preparing to leave for another evening shift. He had his keys in one hand and his jacket in the other when a firm, deliberate knock echoed through the quiet of his home. It wasn't the casual tap of a neighbor or a delivery driver. It carried weight, an urgency he couldn't explain. Curious and slightly unsettled, he walked to the door and opened it. The moment he did, everything inside him went still. He had not expected what he saw. Standing on his porch were 3 Apache women, all dressed in traditional clothing that seemed to carry the stories of generations. The eldest stood in front, Koa's grandmother, her face lined with the wisdom and resilience of her people. Beside her was Koa's mother, her eyes warm yet emotional, and her sister, a younger woman whose posture held both strength and deep gratitude. Michael stared for a moment, unable to speak. Their presence felt powerful, almost ceremonial, like something far greater than a simple visit. In each woman's hands rested a small, handcrafted gift. The grandmother held a woven bracelet made from dyed fibers, its pattern intricate and symbolic. The aunt carried a smooth wooden carving shaped like a desert bird, carved with delicate precision. Koa's mother held a traditional cloth pouch stitched with patterns that represented protection and blessing. Michael felt a lump rise in his throat. These were not casual thank you gifts. These were expressions of honor, items crafted with intention, meaning, and cultural depth. They had not arrived empty-handed, they arrived with purpose. The grandmother stepped forward, and though her English was soft and measured, her words carried immense weight. She explained that their community had heard about the stranger who found their child on the brink of death and refused to leave her side. They said that a deed like his could not go unrecognized. Gratitude in their culture was not something spoken casually, it was something carried, remembered, and passed down. They had traveled hours to stand before him, to look into his eyes, and to thank him from their hearts and their heritage. Koa's mother stepped closer, tears gathering in the corners of her eyes. She told him how Koa had wandered off in search of help after a difficult situation within their remote community. They had been searching for her desperately, praying she would find someone kind, someone who would not overlook her or turn her away. When they learned that Michael not only brought her to the hospital but stayed with her, comforted her, and acted as her guardian until they arrived, they felt something deeper than relief. They felt trust earned through action, not words. Michael listened silently, his chest tightening with emotion. He had seen gratitude before, but never like this, never so raw, sincere, and rooted in centuries of tradition. He felt humbled in a way he could not describe. He tried to tell them that he only did what anyone should do, that helping a child in need shouldn't require recognition. But the grandmother gently shook her head. Not everyone would have done what you did, she told him. You protected her spirit, you treated her as your own. That is what we honor today. Her voice trembled with the depth of her sincerity. As dusk crept across the sky, the three women remained on his porch, speaking with quiet dignity, offering blessings and gratitude that reached far beyond the material gifts in their hands. Michael realized then that what he believed was a simple act of kindness had woven itself into something much larger. He hadn't just saved a child, he had unknowingly formed a bridge between two worlds, his and theirs. The connection he felt in that moment was something sacred, something rare. And as the women turned to leave, Michael understood that this encounter would remain with him for the rest of his life.